Okay, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about translations. Now, this first section has some information that you'll need to fill in. So you will need to pause the video and fill this information in. Go ahead and do that now, and then we'll discuss. Okay, so a translation, in simplest terms, it's known as a slide. And it's a transformation of the plane that slides every point of a figure the same distance and in the same direction. There are two different ways that we are going to talk about how you can notate a translation. The most common one that you're going to see is this one right here. You have an ordered pair, x, y, and you'll see a notation that looks something like x plus 7, y minus 9. This, whatever, is either going to be plus a number or minus a number to the 7. To the x, and you'll either be adding or subtracting a number to the 9. And that same notation can also be written like this, and that's using that capital T, which will stand for translation. So how does it work? Well, if you look at the x, whatever number, if you're adding a number to the x coordinate, you go right that many units, and if you're subtracting a number from that x value or x coordinate, you'll go left or move left that many units. Remember that the x-axis moves left and right. So if you're adding, you go right. If you're subtracting, you go left. The y-coordinate is talking about going either up or down. So remember, the y-axis goes up and down vertically like that. So if you're adding a number to that y value, that's the number of units you will move up. If you're subtracting a number from the y value, that's the number of units that you would move down. Again, if you haven't copied this information down, then you should pause the video and do so now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do a few practice problems, and then you'll have an opportunity to try some on your own. So it says to graph the image after the transformation listed below. So let's look at number 1. We have point A at 3, 5, and they've already plotted that for us. And point B is at 0, 5. Again, that one has also been plotted. It says translate left 3 units and 6 units down. So when I do that, I'm going to literally take each point and move it left 3, down 6. So I'm going to look at point A, and I'm going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. And I'm going to label that point A prime. Now I'm going to do the same thing for B. I'm going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that point is going to be labeled B prime. And now I'm going to draw that line. So now I have translated it. So I can put a little check mark. Oops. A little check mark there. It says, what are the coordinates of the image? So I'm going to write A prime, and A prime is at 1, -1. And then B prime is at 1, 2, 3, -3, 1. What do the pre-image and the image have in common? Well, they're congruent. They're the exact same. The only difference is that the image is slid left and down. So we could say, we're just going to write they are congruent. Let's try number 2. Okay, it says that C is at -5, 6, which they've already plotted. D is at -1, 2, which has also been plotted. Translate right 3 units and down 2 units. So I'm going to take each point, take point C, move it right 3, and then down 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So, and then this will become C prime. Now I'm going to do the same thing for D. So I'm going to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then down 2. And I'm labeling that one D prime. And then I'm going to draw my line. So I've completed that. What are the coordinates of the image? So let's start off with C prime. Remember, in an ordered pair, that ordered pair is always in parentheses. So C prime is at -2, 1, 2, 3, 4. -2, 4. And D prime is at 2, 0. What is the relationship between the pre-image and the image? Again, the pre-image, the black line, if you will, and my green line, the image, they're congruent. How about I make that look a little bit better? Okay. So that's problems 1 and 2. So if you turn the page, on this page you have problems 3 and 4. So I want you to take a minute. I want you to do all of 3 and 4, which there are steps to it, and do problem 5 on the last page. And then once you've done 3, 4, and 5, then come back and we'll discuss. You need to go back and you're going to check over problems 3, 4, and 5. So for number 3, we can see that the two figures would be congruent. Here's number 4, and you may need to pause the video to make any necessary corrections. I do want to talk about number 4. Notice that the directions were to translate it 7 units to the right and 4 units up, and that notation can be written like this. And they've given you the original point, the coordinates of the original point, and the coordinates of the image of that point. And I just want to point out where it says x plus 7, if I take this -6 and add 7 to it, I get a positive 1. And if I take the y coordinate of -6 and add 4 to it, I'm going to get a -2. So you could take each individual ordered pair and complete the translation just by looking at the ordered pair. Okay, and then problem 5, let's talk about that. There was a little bit of a room for variation here when solving this, when completing this. But first off, the area of the rectangle ABCD is 10. Now part B told you to make ABCD, translate it so that the entire rectangle is in quadrant 3. And I have labeled the quadrants on my paper. Your rectangle ABCD might not be in the exact same position as mine. For example, you might have put yours like this, what I'm tracing over in green, and that would also work. Okay, so depending on exactly where yours is located, what you answered to C may be different. But if you did what I did, if you translated your rectangle the same as mine, I moved left 3 and then down 7. But regardless of where you put your rectangle, rectangle A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime is going to have the same area, 10 square units, as rectangle ABCD. And then it said we had to take and name 3 things that they have in common. So both rectangles will have the same area. They would also have the same perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around a figure. And of course, they both have the same shape. They're the same type of rectangle. In this case, they're both 2 by 5 rectangles. And so this pre-image and image are in fact congruent. So one of the things that you need to recognize about translation, about any type of translation, is that the pre-image and the image are always going to be the same. They will always be congruent. All right, let's go to the next page. So first we have a vocabulary review, and please pause this video and fill this information in. Okay, now that you've got that information filled in, now we're going to do some practice problems. So let's move on to this first example right here. So example 1, it says that triangle ABC is the pre-image and triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the image. Describe the motion of the translation. So exactly how did that translation occur? So if you were starting at point A and you wanted to get to point A prime, you'd have to travel to the right and up. So we're going to say right, but how many units to the right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right 5 units, comma, and then we're going to move up 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Up 4 units. Then it says to describe the translation using that function notation, that rule. So xy, you always start with that xy in parentheses, and you have the arrow. And so if we're moving to the right 5 units, that's equivalent to adding 5 to the x coordinate. So I'm going to put the x plus 5. If we go up 4 units, that is the equivalent to adding 4 to my y coordinate. So y plus 4. All right, so we're going to complete the sentence. Angle B is blank to angle B prime. Those two angles are the same, so we'd say is congruent. And then number 2, triangle ABC is blank to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Congruent again. The length of AB is blank units. So side AB is 1, 2, 3 units long. This is blank to the length of A prime, B prime. Well, A prime, B prime is 1, 2, 3 units long as well. So we can say this is congruent to that length. The area of triangle ABC is blank to the area of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Congruent again. So they would completely overlap. Okay, let's go to the next page. So now we have information right up here at the top that we're going to read over. It says the mapping notation rule tells you how to translate the figure on the coordinate plane. First, we move horizontally, that's left or right. If a number is added to x, move the point to the right that number of units. If a number is subtracted from x, move the point to the left. Then we will move vertically, up or down. If a number is added to y, move the point up that number of units. If a number is subtracted from y, move the point down that number of units. So I'm actually going to kind of highlight this part because all of this is very important. And we kind of talked about that at the beginning of this lesson. All right, so let's go to example 2. Example 2 says apply the translation xy, x minus 2, y plus 4 to rectangle ABCD. So before I go any further, that minus 2 means to go left 2, and the plus 4, added to the y that is, means to go up 4. So I'm going to come over here to my graph, and I'm going to move each point left 2, up 4. So I'm going to start with A. I'm going to left 2, and then up 4. And I'm going to label that A prime. Now I'm doing B. 1, 2. So there's B prime. I'll do it for C. And D prime. And then now I'm going to reconnect my points. Okay, so there they are. Then it says write the coordinates of the image below. So A prime is located at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. B prime is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. C prime is at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And D prime is at 0, 7. What do you notice about the size and shape of the pre-image and the image? Well, the size and shape, they're the same. What is the relationship between the area of ABCD and A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime? Again, those areas are going to be the same. What's the relationship between the length of side AB and side A prime, B prime? Same again. What type of angle is angle BCD? So angle BCD is this angle right here. That's a right angle. What angle in the image is congruent to angle BCD after the translation? Well, that's going to be angle B prime, C prime, D prime. Okay, now I want you to go ahead. I want you to do example 3. And then I want you to do examples 4 and 5 on your own. So pause the video, do examples 3, 4, and 5, then come back and check. Okay, now you're going to check your answers to examples 3, 4, and 5. So here's example 4. So you should know that the figure is moving left 4 and down 5, which becomes x minus 4, y minus 5. For example 4, you had to describe that translation in words. And notice that the translation still has x, so we don't move left or right. The y minus 6 means go down 6, so all you would do is move down 6 units. The features that are congruent, so they have the same area. Corresponding sides means side QR and side Q prime R prime, they would be corresponding sides. They're going to be congruent. QT and Q prime T prime, those are corresponding sides. They're congruent. Corresponding angles. Angle Q and angle Q prime are corresponding angles. T and T prime, those two angles would be considered corresponding angles. So sets of corresponding sides and sets of corresponding angles are going to be congruent along with the area of the pre-image and the image. And then in example 5, here are the solutions for that. And it's the same kind of scenario as far as the features that are congruent. So again, the area, the corresponding sides of both triangles, and the corresponding angles. Make sure that after you've uploaded this document, you'll be able to complete the independent practice. If you have any questions, contact your teacher for assistance.